Call a meeting to order for the Ashland Board of City Commission, and if you all will rise, I'll ask Commissioner Goot to do our invocation, and Mr. Wirtz, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
Father, we ask and invite your Holy Spirit into our chambers to preside over our meeting today. We thank you for our city and how you've blessed us in recent days. We ask for your wisdom and guidance over this Board of Mayor and Commissioners as we strive to make the right decisions and in the best interest of our citizens. Bless our city manager, our staff and employees, and those in attendance today. We pray always in Jesus' name. Amen.
Let us stand and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Goot and Mr. Wirtz. Appreciate that. Motion to file and receive the agenda is presented to us.
So moved.
Second.
Any adjustments? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, motion to receive and file the minutes from the March 11th, 2025 meeting.
So move.
Second.
Any corrections or additions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. We'll move into our hearings, and we have some good things to start off with, and I'll ask Chief Kelly if you want to come up and introduce some new promotions.
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. This is,
I don't know that's working, Don. Okay.
can you hear me now? Okay. This is a promotional procedure here that's a result of our change in our organizational structure. And we're now having an assistant chief for the first time since 2006 and bringing back the rank of captain. And that has been since 2006. So it improves our, basically our operational efficiency in the command staff and oversight over a lot more activities that we have now than we've had for years in the past. So I invite first Ryan Conley, his wife Amy to come up. Amy's going to pin him. Ryan is leaving the major position and becoming an assistant chief. Whenever you want to stick him, go ahead. Just hang tight right here just for a second. Adam Daniels, his wife Jill, she'll be pinning him, the rank of captain. If you'll just stay right up there, the mayor has an oath issue.
Gentlemen, if you'll raise your right hand. Do you, Ryan Conley and Adam Daniels, promise on your honor that you will you'll never betray your integrity, your character, or the public trust? You will treat all individuals with dignity and respect and ensure that your actions are dedicated to the safety of the community and the preservation of human life. You will always have the courage to hold yourself and others accountable for their actions. You will always maintain the highest ethical standards and uphold the values of the community and the agency you serve. If you do, answer, I will. Congratulations, gentlemen.
I don't think she got it.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda, we do have a proclamation that I would like to read for our Red Cross. Ladies, if you'd like to come up.
We can hold that.
Sure. Whereas this March, we celebrate American Red Cross Month, recognizing the compassionate acts of people in Boyd County, Kentucky, and by renewing our commitment to lend a helping hand to our neighbors in need. And whereas, since Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross more than 140 years ago, generation after generation stepped up to deliver relief and care across our country, around the world, bringing our best of humanity in times of crisis. And whereas advancing this noble mission, the volunteers, blood donors, and supporters who now give back through the Tri-State chapter remain unwavering in their commitment to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of today's energies and emergencies. Whereas during the 2024 in Boyd County, Kentucky, the American Red Cross assisted 33 people impacted by disasters, collected 1,506 units of blood at 62 blood drives, provided life-saving training to 838 people, and supported 26 military members, veterans, and their families with the help of a dozen local volunteers. And whereas their voluntary, generous, and contributions shine a beacon of hope in people's darkest hours, whether it's delivering shelter, food, comfort during these disasters, providing critical blood donations for hospital patients, supporting service members, veterans, and their families, saving lives with the first aid, CPR, AEDs, and other skills, or delivering international aid and recollecting loved ones separated by global crisis. And whereas this work to uplift our community is truly made possible by those who selflessly answer the call to help whenever and wherever it is needed. Now therefore, I, Chuck D. Charles, Mayor of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, along with the Ashland Board of Commissioners, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of Boyd County and the Commonwealth of Kentucky, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Red Cross Month. Congratulations. Okay, want to continue with some of our hearings and remarks, and I want to start off with a good note that we have all of our water samples back from the state, and we are clear and lifting the boil water advisory. Yay. As of today. And I do want to give a shout out to Mark Hall and all the team that brought all this to fruition and making it happen. It was truly, I was proud of all the teamwork that made all of this happen. And probably next commission meeting, we'll have some videos and to show you what work was done and how it was done. I'll let Marty talk about our Ashland Tomcats.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody, to this noon meeting. I just want to echo the mayor's sentiments. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for the patience of all our citizens and our businesses and restaurants. Secondly, I'd like to mention there's going to be 2 ribbon cuttings in the next couple days. Tomorrow at Uncle Paul and Missy's Country Kitchen on 16th Street, we'll have their ribbon cutting at noon, and then they'll open up at 9 o'clock on Saturday for their grand opening. Empower 606 is a smoothie and energy drink place opening up on Winchester Avenue, and their ribbon cutting is at 10 on Saturday. Little League is opening. God, there's 300 kids down there. Opening up April 12th. is right around the corner at our ball fields up at the waterworks. And of course, our Easter egg hunt is April 19th coming up in Central Park at 11:15. Lastly, I got back at almost 1 o'clock in the morning, but congratulate Coach Ryan Bonner and the Ashland Tomcats for winning first of all, the region and going to the state tournament this is Ashland's they've been there 39 times. Wow. It's a state record. Ashland's been to the state tournament more than any city in the Commonwealth. And they won their first game last night against Callaway County it was the 8:30 game. So congratulations, Ryan Bonner and the Ashland Tomcats. That's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. A couple more little things. The Ashland Breakfast Kiwanis had a very successful pancake breakfast, and they appreciate everybody's support. Along with that, but you may not be aware, the Ashland Key Club, which is under the auspice of Kiwanis, is 100 years old this year, and they are the oldest continuing key club in the world. So that's quite an honor for them to be able to reach that milestone. Also, congratulations to Marshall Tyson of the United Way and Scott Campbell of the Ashland Area YMCA. They had a very successful called Huddle for Hunger. And I love these partnerships when people come together, especially in nonprofits and different nonprofits and for-profit organizations, maybe even government, coming together to make things happen. That's the way we operate hopefully in Ashland. But we're excited about those. Let's see. Well, we'll start with Mr. Renfro.
Well, thank you. I mentioned this at the last meeting, but since they're both here, I feel I want to mention again, congratulations to both Ryan and Adam. I had the pleasure, and I mean pleasure, working with both of them, and I learned a lot from both those guys. And I knew early on they had what it was going to take to be part of the command staff, to be a benefit to the police department and to the city. And so congratulations to both of you. I had the pleasure of going down and watching some fire department training a couple weeks ago. Chief Alley asked me to come down, and very impressed with their training on collapsed buildings and things of that nature. That was some physical activity, what I saw. And last, I went to the meeting at Ashland Housing Authority. They are 99% full. 224 people on Scope's waiting list, 178 at the board. So that's all I got. I know there's a baseball game, I think, today. We need to maybe hurry along.
Yes.
Commissioner Reimer?
Go Reds. I want to echo Commissioner Renfro's sentiments and congratulations to our gentlemen with the police department. I want to talk a little different things today about the meadows of yellow. So spring's upon us in our community, and if you've noticed, there's beautiful patches of daffodil flowers throughout our community. And I want to give special thanks to the Daffodil Springtacular Committee. That was started by the late Norma Meeks. They had a goal of over 5 years to plant 100,000 daffodil bulbs in our community. I believe this may be year 3, so there are over 60,000 bulbs planted. This weekend, they're holding their daffodil spring tea at the Highlands Museum, and Norma will be honored at this event. Also, you mentioned 100 years for the Key Club. Just a side note, the city building actually is 100 years old this year, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Very good. Commissioner Martin?
Congratulations to Captain Daniel and Chief Ryan Conley, and we need to recognize Officer Holman, who left before we could tell him that personally, for his recognition. Thank you very much, Mark Hall, for the work your guys did through very tough circumstances. You brought us through, and we appreciate your efforts. And all the city staff, we always appreciate what you're doing on behalf of the city. And yeah, you need to be reminded this is opening day for the Cincinnati Reds.
How many years have you done this, Sonny?
36 years.
He's been there.
Mr. Reb?
I don't have a report, but go Reds. And it is the 156th year of the Reds, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right, we'll move into our public participation. Anyone wishing to address the commission, if you want to come to the podium. Yes, ma'am, if you'll come to the podium and give your name and your address, and you'll be allowed 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm Sandra Van Horn, 2214 Sharon Road, Ashland. And I just wanted to let you know that I had an issue with the phone system this week. I called a couple of times, and this isn't the first time, but you have a voice that comes on and says, you know, this, thus, and so, and then when it gets to the departments, okay, I pushed for a department. It sent me to a woman's voicemail. So then I tried again, pushed a different department, got the same thing. And I didn't want to leave a voicemail. But anyway, I tried 2 other times. And then when I pushed the department, it just went back to the original message. I finally got Susan on about my 5th call. And she's the only one that answered the phone to answer my question. So I thought, you know, I mean, something needs to be done about the telephone system. You know, I think it would really be good. I know I'm old school. I worked here back in the 90s and 80s and 90s, and I just remember when Mrs. Clear sat downstairs in her little cubicle and she answered the phone every day and was able to transfer us to whatever department that was needed. I know that's outdated, but there needs to be something, you know, a human voice to make a person feel comfortable. I'm into genealogy, and I have had to call different places to get information. And I have come across a bad situation as well, trying to get information for what I needed. Those were mainly county, you know, where they keep all the records and stuff like Boyd County does. But anyway, I just wanted to vet a little bit today.
Did you get your question answered?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
She
Thank you,
talked to
Mrs. Van Horn.
Susan, of course she got her question.
Yeah. You want to make a comment?
No, I just said, I want to say thank you for coming.
All right, any other would like to address the commission? Yes, sir. If you'll state your name and your address, sir?
Yes, my name's David Boggs. I live at 604 Unruh Street in Ashland. I'm standing before you today, not because I want to, but because I have to. For 5 months and 15 days today, my household has been without adequate water service due to a problem that was not my fault, and yet I've been forced to fight day after day just to get the most basic necessity restored. On October 12, 2024, a neighbor's sewer repair resulted in damage to a gas line and water line. That night, I returned home to find I had no water at all. The next day, service was supposedly restored, but the pressure was so low I could barely shower, and my toilet would not refill on its own. I did what any responsible citizen would do. I called the water department, reported the issues. I was told the line was being worked on, but by 2 p.m. the following day, the hole had been backfilled and my problem was ignored. I've called the water department over 100 times. I've left dozens of messages at the water department. My calls were not answered. I've called out after-hours lines multiple times. Technicians have come to my house 10 times. Nothing was fixed. I had emailed everyone on Ashland's website that seemed relevant to the issue, including some people on the council here tonight. I've taken off work, gone to customer service in person trying to get help. And for 5 months and 15 days, I've lived under completely unacceptable conditions. I cannot take a proper shower. I've had to buy gallons of water to bathe. to water my animals and to cook. My toilet will not flush without a bucket of water. I cannot do laundry. The washer just stops. I cannot plan on making a pot of spaghetti because my water is so inconsistent. I go completely without water at times, not a single drop. What would I have been expected to do if I had small children to care for, a baby to bathe after a messy diaper? It's not just about inconvenience. This has disrupted our lives, our health, and our dignity. This is not frustrating. It's unacceptable. It's inhumane. It's neglect. Neglect by a department that exists to serve the public. After 118 days of being ignored, I got put in touch with one person, thanks to customer service, named Sammy Smith, the meter services supervisor, who acted. Contacted Superintendent Reed Downs, who finally came to my house to investigate the issue. Sammy listened, cared, got someone involved that could fix the problem. What happened whenever they got there? No apology, no accountability, no explanation for why I'd been ignored for 4 months. I gave Reed my number, asked the man to keep in touch with me, told him how dire my situation was. Never received a call or text. The following week, they replaced a section of line at the bottom of the hill from me. It made everything much worse. I emailed Reed on the 14th about the situation worsening. I received a reply on the 18th outlining a plan, but offering no apologies. I continued to stay in contact, but the next and last email I received was 10 days later on the 28th of February, detailing a plan to tie us into a water main and fix the problems. Meanwhile, the repairs that have been done on Enru since the 12th of October last year have done nothing to make the situation worse. Mark Hall, the utilities director, reached out to me at some point in March. He apologized, which meant a lot, but then stood by the claim that I was getting state minimum pressure. I cannot believe that my neighbors and I, who can barely shower and whose water would completely stops at times, are getting minimum pressure. Minimum pressure would imply water. I've gone completely without water, and yet we are being told that we're meeting state minimum. The minimum would be running water, enough to bathe, flush our toilets, and cook our meals. This, in my mind, should prove without a doubt that there are bigger issues on Unruh. I documented everything, every call, every message, every visit, every technician that's come to my house. I have videos of water pressure issues dating back to October. I have videos of water employees at my house at 10 o'clock at night showing I have 1 GPM going to my house with my water wide open and nothing coming out of the faucets. I have footage of my neighbors experiencing the same issues. The tie-in solution that has been attempted should be done today. I will know this afternoon if after over 6 months of enduring these conditions, if I'll have enough water to take a shower, enough to do laundry, enough to flush my toilet without a bucket. 5 months and 15 days of trying to be heard, and I ask you, everyone here tonight and people on the council, would you be okay with this if it was your home? If it was your mother, your father, your children having to live like this? If having to live like this for 5 months and 15 days without the most basic water being ignored at every turn? It's not just about me or my neighbors or people on Unruh Street anymore. This is about accountability. I'm here because I've been left with no other option. I want transparency. I expect answers for why my neighbors and I have been subjected to months of inaction and disregard. If I'd ignored my responsibilities for months, I'd be unemployed. So it seems acceptable. I'm not grandstanding for myself. I think it's abhorrent that anyone would have to put up with this, and I'll keep fighting until I have answers. I want to be very clear. This is not a personal inconvenience. This isn't a failure of a system. This is a failure of leadership, a failure of responsibility, and is completely unacceptable. I've done everything I can. I've made the calls. I sent emails. I gathered evidence. I spoke to neighbors. I get them involved. I've even stood here tonight to lay out the entire situation. I've been patient. I followed every step. And it's taken until now to maybe get the right to reliable water in my own home that I've paid for every single month since October. I will not stop fighting until it's made right. I've given you all a QR code that links to a Google Drive so you can see the problems I'm experiencing and that it's not an overreaction. Thank you for your time. My contact information is in there too.
Mayor and Commissioners, before you or any staff responds, I'd just like to clarify a couple of points. This is not the first that I've heard from Mr. Boggs. I've been in contact with Mr. Boggs through the Attorney General's office, Heather Napier, consumer complaint investigator, since last week. She has asked for patience. She's been made apprised of the work that's being done in the area of Mr. Boggs's home. I have asked staff to discontinue direct contact with Mr. Boggs so that the Attorney General's office and their investigator is apprised of all communication. And I've continued to ask Mr. Boggs to do so too. So I'll certainly update Ms. Napier that she can go on and watch whatever, and we'll provide her the QR code. But this is with the Attorney General's office right now, and
The Attorney General's not representing me in a legal sense. She's representing the state. I didn't retain her.
with all due respect, we take very seriously any involvement of the Attorney General's office. And when they seek to investigate something, I want them to have all the information possible so that they can have a proper investigation. And when there is contact with the city and staff that doesn't involve them during their investigation, it's very concerning because they may not have information that everyone else has. And
Heather
so
Napier
my-
knows I'm here today. I emailed
Well,
her. She's
and
been made aware.
and you can understand my concern and wanting to make sure she knows that. So that's all I'm saying. And I just want to make sure this board is aware that the Attorney General's office is involved in this as well.
Yeah.
They have responded. I corresponded, I think, with her as late as yesterday evening. So
I understand that, and I just want to, let you know that it's an investigation of something that's taking place at my property. I'm interested in it too, and I'm going to make sure that she's involved in everything that I'm corresponding with you guys, because I want her involved too. If I would have known that I could contact the Attorney General's office, I would have called her in October of last. I would call her in November of last year. I didn't know that was an option. No one's held my hand through this. I've guided this through myself. I know the first names of everyone in customer service on a first name basis. I've taken off work to go in there and speak with them personally, right? Until I got a hold of Sammy, which somebody in customer service gave me his personal cell phone number, I didn't have a way to get in touch with anyone. I'd sent emails. I hadn't got a response. I'd called. I'd left messages. I hadn't got a response.
All right, thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, anyone else like to address the commission? Yes, sir.
Is this the time to talk about, I've got on the consent agenda, if I have a request? Or is it later when it actually comes
You
up
can
on the
make a
docket?
statement, yes, sir.
Okay.
If
I'm
you'll
Michael
state your name
Quady.
and your address.
Yes, Michael Quady. The property is 1933 Central Avenue. I'm at 2652 Iroquois Avenue. This property is up for demolition, and what I'm asking is if there's any chance that I either can get an extension, a continuance, or table this for 30 or 60 days. I have been negligent, but I have had some issues with some of the realtors because the members were, and of course Randy has passed recently, and I've got another realtor. I'm not totally against the property being demolished, but I would like to give it a chance to continue living over here across from Central Park. There was a fire in August of 2023, which has been a long time ago, and it took a while before insurance and everything was through, and then in January I had a heart attack, and it took it's just been, I know I've been pushing things down the road. So what I need to know is I have a new realtor that thinks there's a possibility there may be people that might want to buy the house. I know that I can demolish it, and it's going to be a gut job for whoever does it, but I want to give someone a chance to possibly do that. So I didn't know if I had any options of a continuance or tabling this.
Mayor, Commissioners, I've been in touch with Mr. Quady, it's probably about a year ago, and then once last week, I believe he came to see me. He called yesterday or day before. A few facts on this one. Fire was in August of 2023. The property was condemned since at least November of 2023 by our code enforcement department. They are no longer able to secure the premises. There's been approximately 17 emergency response calls within the last year. We've had numerous and continued complaints from residents and a photography business in the immediate vicinity, and this is also right across the street from Central Park. There are approximately $2,500 in code fines that are currently owed, and about $1,000 in taxes, including delinquent Ashland independent school taxes that have not been paid. There's been no action to remedy the conditions since August of 2023. We've heard very little contact until the city moved forward with attempts to demolish this property. It's an ongoing nuisance. It needs to be remedied. I honestly don't believe that Mr. Quady has the ability to remedy it himself, and ample time has been given. I'm not sure that there's any facts that need to be stated further, but those are the simple facts of it, of what's been going on. And I've heard over the years, and actually have been contacted by several individuals interested in purchasing this property. I provided Mr. Quady their number, and there's never been any sale that I'm aware of. So
What have you done? You've sent me.
I've passed along your contact information to numerous individuals over the years that were interested in purchasing the property.
Well, I've not received anything.
Those are just the facts.
I dispute some of what he's saying, but nonetheless, what I'm saying is if there's any possibility, like I said, I was told that I could get an injunction, but then the first lawyer I talked to has a conflict of interest with the city, and who he sent me to, they said that they didn't do this anymore and sent me to another person who's not contacted me back. And I'm not saying that the city or myself won't demolish this if there's an issue, continuing issue. But I do want to give the realtor that I have talked to this week, I just want to see if there's any chance that it can be salvaged. If someone wants to get it, and it needs to be, there's a lot of work to be done, but there are people that like to do that. So that's what I'm
But
asking.
this has been going on since 2023, correct?
The fire that
fire-
that resulted in the property being the condition it's in now, it's deteriorated since, but the fire was on August of 2023.
August 26th of 2023.
And I've got the fire report here if anybody wants to look at it.
And-
But it was condemned in November of 2023, I believe, is the information I received from code.
Well, I have come in monthly to code enforcement. They will bet, and I have paid fines on it, which I have here. I don't, if you all feel like it is not worth trying to keep, that's what you have to do. But I think it may be worth trying for 30 or 60 days to
Well, I
see if
guess
someone.
the liability on it where it's a danger at this point?
I mean, there's no direct liability to the city, but it is a certain, this has been the calls have been ongoing about this property, and I asked Chief Kelly and Chief Alley to give me some idea of how many reports have been made within the last year, and there's been 17 separate emergency response calls in that time frame. Look, this is not something that I or code enforcement enjoy doing. There's no pleasure in doing this at all. But when you see a property that is down the street from Crab School, across the street from the park, near a photography business, and the calls are never ending and there's never a solution, it never resolves itself, and it's been ongoing since August 2023.
That's not totally
We don't know what
correct.
else to do. Sir, I'm not trying to argue with you. This is just the situation we're in. This is my recommendation.
I
They can do
understand
whatever they
that.
want.
You told me that this was your recommendation. But anyway, that's what I'm asking for, 30 days or 60 days. And I don't know if you can do that, but that's what I'm asking.
All right, thanks, Mr. Quady. All right. Anyone else like to address the commission? Yes, sir. You'll state your name and address.
Afternoon. Yeah, John Hall. I'm the rector at Calvary Episcopal Church, 1337 Winchester Avenue. And been reading in the paper, and of course parishioners have been talking about the conference center. We're excited about that. It is very close, near and dear to the heart of our meeting space, and so we're interested. And we hosted the tour of homes this year. We were the church that had a couple hundred people come through. And most of them said, we've been driving by this church all our life. We've never been inside. So I invite everybody to come by Calvary and come inside. It's one of the older and more historic buildings. This building is 100 years old. Congratulations. And ours just turned 126. And the congregation itself started 10 years before that. So there's a lot of history there and a lot of architectural integrity with the stained glass windows and so forth. So I would hate to do anything that sort of darkens the light coming in through or adding noise to the area. And we have several ministries that come out of that 14th Street side. If you've ever seen the red door towards the alley, towards the back side, we have a wonderful ministry called Holy Locker Room. We collect sports equipment from people all over the county, really. And that's made free to families in the area who need to, maybe they can't afford sports equipment for their young person, or maybe the young person can't play because they don't have the proper equipment. We're making it available to them, and it's for all kinds of sports for girls and boys. There are some obvious concerns that we just don't know about, and parking, especially handicap access, is a deal. There's a few parking spaces now left, but that would qualify as handicap. The ramps that go up the curb on the new sidewalks are nice, but you got to get to those. And so the parking spaces there sometimes can be filled, especially over the weekend, with people who live in the apartments up and down that alleyway behind Calvary, so between Winchester and Greenup. And there's quite a few vehicles that seem to live, if you will, in those parking spaces that are closest, obviously, to the apartments, but they're also where our handicapped people tend to park on Sunday mornings or for Wednesday evenings or other church events and so forth. So I just wanted to bring notice to that, and I'd hate to block off inadvertently access to some of these ministries and to some of our older parishioners. And then lastly, just that we'd have a change in sight lines aesthetically. I think I've seen a little bit in the paper alluding to that concern, and I think that's just something to keep in mind. Besides the light issue that would be compromised, it might, for lack of a better word, it might just look kind of funny. So if we need a larger, and I'm talking about the property that's between the public parking that's between the hotel and the church right now. So, so the sightlines would be compromised on that. Wherever there is parking available and wherever the conference center is chosen to go, I would also hope that we would have access to some parking, some allowance, if you will, which is common for downtown churches and towns and cities, that there would be made available so many parking spaces for park because of a new building. So I appreciate it. It's a privilege being
Thank
here
you.
today.
Just a comment. We're very aware of your situation, which
yeah.
is our situation, too. So,
I
and there's
understand.
taken in consideration, and
Yeah,
we've not made a decision yet, but we plan on doing that shortly.
I understand. We live and work there, so to speak, all the time. So I see the day-to-day traffic, if you will, and there's a lot of there's a lot of need, I would say, for fire and EMS and police to be able to come through there, and I'd hate to see that compromised.
Yeah,
And
we're aware of that, though.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Father John.
For the record, I would just say that those discussions about closing 14th Street were just that, discussions. No decision has been made. There's still plans in the works. Could be there, could be over across the street.
Right.
But I, for one, will not vote for any plan that will adversely affect the integrity of that church.
I appreciate it. There was some project that was done before, maybe it was tearing down the headquarters, the Ashland Oil headquarters.
Well, you know, that was a
Department.
7-story building, so I mean,
Well, I'm just saying that there was close attention to and proper responsibility given towards the integrity of the building, so that the foundation wouldn't be cracked and things like that. You know, the brick and stained glass and so forth.
you'll be kept informed.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you,
All right,
thank you,
thank you.
John. Thank you for coming.
Anyone else? All right, hearing none, let's move on to old business, item A.
Second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and USALCO LLC for the tank level monitoring system installation for the Department of Utility Operations Division of Water Treatment Plant at no cost to the city."
So move.
Second. First and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, item B.
Second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 1 between the city and Judy Construction Company for the Roberts Drive Screen Replacement Project, decreasing the contract in the amount of $39,337 for the Department of Engineering."
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item C.
First reading, second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 1 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Leidig Contracting LLC for the sidewalk replacement project Phase 2, decreasing the contract in the amount of $121,637.03 for the Department of Engineering."
So move.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, it's exciting to see decreases
Amen.
in these contracts. So we want
Amen.
to thank you, Mr.
We-
Corbett, in the back for helping work on those decreases. And Mr. Berry as well, thank you for that.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item D.
Second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Boyd County Sanitary Landfill, Inc., Rumpke, for a suitable landfill location for the receipt and disposal of compacted garbage and refuse, rubble, and rubbish collected by the City of Ashland for a period of 1 year in an amount not to exceed $22.24 per ton for the Department of Public Services Division of Sanitation."
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item E.
Second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 5 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Mechanical Construction Company for the 26th Street Pump Station Rehabilitation Project, decreasing the contract in the amount of $7,241.63 for the Department of Engineering."
So moved.
Second? We have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. And then again, your decreases, that's good to note. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item F.
Second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute and submit the 2025-2026 Kentucky Pride Fund Recycling Grant Application to the Kentucky Department for Environmental Protection Division of Waste Management, Recycling, and Local Assistance Branch for the Household Hazardous Waste Program, and, if awarded, authorizing and directing the mayor to execute any and all other documents relating to the acceptance of said grant, and authorizing a 25% match to be paid by the city."
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item G.
Second reading and final adoption of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a consulting agreement between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Harrison Consulting LLC to provide consulting services and oversight of the construction of a conference center to be located within the City of Ashland."
So move.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? This will be a positive step in completing this project, I'm sure.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Consent agenda.
A resolution of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting, authorizing, and approving the course of action presented by the city manager on the items appearing on the consent agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of City Commissioners of March 27, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All right, the only thing I had a question about was, on the AEDs, who's gonna do the training on these and keep them up to date? Do we know that? I mean, because they have to be serviced, ever so often. That'll be something we'll have to work out, I guess.
That's a good question. I can report back to you, sir.
Okay, all right. With that said, we're good. We have a first and a second. Let's see, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Let's see here. Just one question on the appointment of the 2 firefighters. What will that bring us up to now for the count?
It'll be 56 total.
56 total. All right, thank you. All right, and glad to have Mr. Garlinger working on some great projects for us. We go way back. All right, we'll move to new business. Item A.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, material, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris at 2143 Thomas Street in the amount of $9,999 for the Department of Community Economic Development to be paid from the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item B.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris at 2220 Smith Street in the amount of $5,600 for the Department of Community Economic Development to be paid from the general fund.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item C.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris at 3128 Central Avenue in the amount of $4,800 for the Department of Community and Economic Development to be paid from the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I was just asking the city manager, we've got a bunch of these on new businesses ordinances as opposed to being on the consent agenda. Is there some reason we are doing them by ordinance as opposed to consent agenda?
The consent, I think, is the bid award, and then this is an actual contract. So there is a reason for that. A few years ago, when we started doing these demolitions kind of in more larger scale in number, one of the problems code enforcement was having was the timing requirement of how quickly they were being done. They were awarding the bid sometimes, and then it'd be a year, and sometimes they weren't being knocked down. So by contract, we put the contractors on a timestamp. From the date that the award and the note is given and the notice to proceed is given, then they have about 60 days to knock down the property. And if not, then that way we can go back out for bid for it.
But it does extend the 60 days in terms of the 2 readings of the ordinance,
right.
or 30 days at least.
Yeah.
I get it, and I'm not being critical of it. I'm just curious as to why we were doing it.
Commissioner Martin, another reason we did this, I was part of the beginning of this, is we were going to be using some federal dollars, and using those federal dollars, CDBG wanted us to tie them to a contract, so that's what we went to. Instead of just doing a consent agenda or quotes and demoing that way, we moved to the bidding process. And that was also in conversation with the finance department too.
At one point, we were awarding the bid and doing a contract all in one step.
Mm-hmm.
And we might want to look at seeing if we can't do that, and that'd save time in that approach too.
We'll look at that.
All right, we have a first and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item D.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris at 2740 Carter Avenue in the amount of $9,200 for the Department of Community and Economic Development to be paid from the general fund."
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item E.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of 621 27th Street in the amount of $5,800 for the Department of Community and Economic Development to be paid from the general fund."
Motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item F.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of 1933 Central Avenue in the amount of $9,200 for the Department of Community and Economic Development to be paid from the general fund."
Motion?
Move. Second.
Second? First and a second, discussion?
Yeah, so, do we know what taxes are owed on that property? Can we speak to that?
Yes, I can give you the exact amount, at least the city taxes. I can't speak to the county. The city taxes that are owed are approximately 1,000 total. Of that 1,000 total, $752.62 in school taxes owed, so the balance would be owed to either a flood wall or city ad valorem tax, and those were for 2024 year's taxes, so last year's taxes.
Can we speak on how much Mr. Quaid has paid in code enforcement fines? I mean, you might not be accessible to you right now.
I could give you that information. I don't know exactly. The information that I was relayed is there's currently approximately 2,500 that's owed. So this is basically, and how that works is as long as it's condemned and not remedied and continually on the monthly code enforcement agenda, those fines continue to accrue until compliance is.
And this might be a question for Mr. Quaid. Do you have the means to pay those taxes and to pay those fines?
I paid all of last year's taxes. I don't know. There was something back in 2018, 2019, that they said that I didn't pay, but it is from last year.
Okay, so do you have the means to pay? You think you have the means to pay?
Yes.
Because if we vote to approve this today, it goes to a second reading at the next meeting.
Which is an additional 30
Yeah.
days before that action's taken.
30 days would be,
So we're not giving you an additional 30 days. It's 30 days between this reading
The
or
readings.
however many, days between the next reading. I would like to make a motion. I don't know if this is the right time. Maybe we need to vote on this and then make a
We
motion.
need to vote first, yeah.
Okay. Do we need to vote, or you may explain?
I don't mean to, that's Mr. Wheeler's.
Need to vote or not?
I defer
Can't help
to
yourself.
the experience.
So if we need to vote, then I'll give my spiel.
Go for it.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Okay, so I would also like to make a motion that I don't know how this needs to be worded, but in the meantime, if you catch up all your taxes, all your fines, and whatever else may be owed, that we could, in this meantime, maybe we don't have the second reading and give you an extended time.
We can vote it down.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
can
we
vote it
don't
down.
need a motion to do that. If the
Yeah.
second reading, if he's
If he's-
paid, we can consider not giving second reading or delaying the second
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah.
You all really just need to tell us when you want to
Yeah.
have that second reading. If it's,
Unless you're otherwise, it ought to be on the regular deal.
Will you be able to pay that before the next commission meeting?
What we're saying, Mike, if you get everything caught up, we don't have to vote to have it demoed. We'll leave it up to you.
But we know it's a safety concern, for sure. You know, it's been ongoing since I was an employee here. So action has to be taken. Simple as that. I mean, I know the code enforcement board's giving you X amount of time, but action has to be taken. We can't just you pay the fines and then it goes in front of code enforcement board again. We can't do that. We've got to have some action. Whether you sell it, you demo it, whatever you do, but there has to be some action taken. Yeah.
I've got nothing against,
Yeah.
Oh, no,
for
this,
friends. I've got nothing against, but 17 calls to that residence, and I've received personal calls. And it's a safety issue. And it's a safety for citizens in and around the park. And then that photo studio, I mean, he chewed my ear off over confrontations with homeless people and so forth, and it ruined his business. And so, you just have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not us saying we're not going to not support it next time. We voted to approve it this time. We just have to have a second reading. But I would like to see if you could pay those fines and catch up your taxes and get a plan in place before the next reading, Well, it's just whenever we bring it to I would consider it to be the next board meeting.
Which is 2 weeks.
Which is 2 weeks, which is the what is it, the second Tuesday at 5 p.m.
That'd be 3 weeks.
all right, let's move on. Item G.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to submit the City of Ashland's 2019 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan Amendment to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD for approval and implementation."
So move.
First and a second, the discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item H.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to submit the City of Ashland's 2020 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan Amendment to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD for approval and implementation."
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item I.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to submit the City of Ashland's 2023 Community Development Block Grant CDBG Annual Action Plan Amendment to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development HUD for approval and implementation."
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item J.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting the Community Development Block Grant Amended 5-Year Consolidation Plan 2020 to 2024 for the Department of Community and Economic Development."
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item K.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Leidy Contracting, LLC for the purchase and installation of concrete at Dawson Pool in the amount of $64,398 for the Department of Public Services Division of Parks and Recreation."
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Are we still on track to open? Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Love it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item L.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute Amendment Number 2 to the agreement between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and GRW Engineers, Inc. to provide engineering services in connection with the design, construction, and agency approvals of the 2022 Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Project, Roberts Drive, screen replacement for the Department of Engineering, increasing the contract in the amount of $50,880.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item M.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 1 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and C.J. Hughes Construction Company, Inc. for the 2022 Water and Sewer Capital Improvements Plan Sewer Lining and Repair Project, increasing the contract time by 150 calendar days."
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item N.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky designating on certain streets or portions of streets within said city that traffic shall move in only one direction, providing a penalty for the violation thereof, and repealing ordinance number 137, series of 2000 as previously amended."
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item O.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a real estate purchase agreement between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Brooks Wells, Inc. for the purchase of 341 14th Street by the City of Ashland in an amount not to exceed $122,500, and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents associated with and/or necessary to complete said purchase of real estate."
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? I don't know that this purchase will actually help us increase the parking spaces there for the city's parking lot adjacent to Paramount, so that'll be good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item P.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky amending ordinance number 169, series of 1995 as previously amended, commonly referred to as the stop sign ordinance, authorizing the installation of stop signs on Central Avenue at its intersection with 23rd Street, 24th Street, and 25th Street."
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, I think this will help alleviate the traffic problems there for egress and ingress with the new UK ED department. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Item Q.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Ashland and Rupke of Kentucky, Inc., Boyd County Sanitary Landfill, Inc., for the removal of and disposition of sludge from the City of Ashland wastewater treatment plant and water treatment plant for a period of 1 year in the amount of $295,680 for the Department of Utilities."
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item R.
Reading and adoption of a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the City of Ashland, Ashland Bus System, and the Kiowa Interstate Planning Commission."
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item S.
First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 2 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and CTB, Inc. for the 17th Street City Hall entrance project, decreasing the contract amount $4,302 for the Department of Engineering."
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Is there any idea when we're going to actually see work on that deal?
Mr. Adkins, do you have an updated,
On the 17th Street entrance?
the updated completion date?
So next commission meeting, it should be done?
Well, I think actually there may be a request from staff for a recess meeting to Tuesday before the conference center committee to deal with that change order, and I think Dawson Pools was the other item that needed to be addressed
Okay.
It's coming Tuesday.
to this coming Tuesday, similar to what we've done before at 11:30 before the
11:30.
conference center
Okay,
committee
we can do
meeting.
that.
And the one item that we'll make sure not to give second reading to is Mr. Quady's property. We'll
We're going to give
we'll make sure that's off their
Gotcha.
second
So
reading.
this is going to be on 11:30 Tuesday?
Yes, sir.
Tuesday. Can I ask, before we adjourn, Mr. Corbett, can you give us an update on the crosswalk at King's Daughters?
Starting Monday, the street department, we're doing the preliminary work on Monday, setting poles. They won't be out in the street.
Yes.
April 7th, they'll actually be in the street. And the contractor or the supplier of the material will actually be here at that time. They think it'll be a couple of days to install the pile stuff in the street. And hopefully the street will only be open. Say, they're planning on having at least 2 lanes open at all times.
So it's a 2-day project. A 2-day project.
2 days, that's their optimistic estimate.
Okay. I know how that goes. Okay.
All right, any other business need to come before the commission? Hearing none, we'll recess till April the 1st at 11:30 a.m.